hung out with the town folk and did all the things, and she didn't quite fit that mold. And it is an anthology, which I didn't know what that meant. I actually had to Google it. Can you believe that at my ripe age? If you've been on my channel before, you'll know I'm not having the best time with reading this year. I unfortunately have been reading the most mediocre books and have DNF a fair bit of books. Today's Friday when we're starting. Until next Friday, let's just mood read and kind of just pick up whatever we feel drawn towards. A lot of my videos are very themed. I feel like I just need to kind of let it go and just pick whatever I feel drawn to. So let's mood read together for a week. First book I feel very drawn to, and I felt this for the last few days, is Wild by Kristen Hanna. I'm very, very curious about her writing. As some of you may know, or you may not know, that I recently read Beartown by Frederick Backman, and I really, really enjoyed it. I thought, why not try Kristen Hanna? Because I know a lot of people who like Frederick Backman really like Kristen Hanna. I'm not usually a lit fic girl. I don't usually get on with it, but I'm really, really curious about what I will feel about her writing. It is a chonker, so I'm not sure how long it will take me, but we have an entire week just to read whatever we feel like. Let's read the back together. It says, in the rugged Pacific Northwest of the United States lies the Olympic National Forest, a vast expanse of impenetrable darkness and impossible beauty. From deep within this mysterious land, a 6-year-old girl disappears. Speechless and alone, she offers no clue as to her identity, no hint of her past. Having retreated to her hometown after a scandal left her career in ruins, child psychiatrist Dr. Julia Cates begins working with the extraordinary little girl, naming her Alice. Julia is determined to free her from a prison of unimaginable fear and isolation, and discovers the truth about Alice's past. The shocking facts of Alice's life test the limits of Julia's faith and strength, even as she struggles to make a home for Alice and find a new one for herself. So that sounds very interesting, and it sounds quite different from the other books that I know she writes, like the historical fiction, which is not my thing at all. We'll see how we feel. I'm very excited to try it out, and like I said, I have a whole week just to read whatever I like. I think this is the book that we're going to pick up. I do have a few other library books. I have books on my TBR or my monthly TBR that I need to read, but I just want to read this, so I'm going to just do it. That is everything. I will catch up with you guys tomorrow, or when I get 100 pages in. Just know I'm very, very excited, and I'll let you know how I feel. Friends, so it is the next day. It's Saturday today. It's actually really cold today as well, but I did go for my walk and I had breakfast and I started editing, but I thought I'd just read a little bit because I'm very curious about this book. I got to chapter 6, page 98, not 100, close enough. These chapters are extremely long. Like the last chapter I think I read was about 20 pages, which was like on the shorter side, but it's really, really long. I'm really curious as to what is going on. I don't know what to call this genre because right now it feels like a mystery. We already met our main female character. Her name was Julia, and she is a psychiatrist, but something went wrong with one of her other patients. She ended up going crazy and gunning down a school or church or something, so she was in the limelight, and now she's kind of like lost clients and like everything's going wrong. So she's gone back to her hometown to help her sister with the case, which is this girl that they found, and the girl is feral. She had a little wolf with her. She can't really speak, she doesn't really communicate, climbs trees, she doesn't trust people, and like they're trying to figure out who this kid is, and she's now stepped in to help. It's very, very interesting because we do also get the little girl's point of view, and she's not completely literate, and I think she's grown up in the forest. I think she's a victim of either kidnapping or her mother was kidnapped and then the child was bred in captivity. She doesn't have a name yet, obviously, because she doesn't speak. So far it's really interesting because we're trying to figure out what's going on, and Julia and her sister Ellie, they have like a very tense relationship because Julia was always an outcast because she was really intelligent, she was book smart. The rest of her family were like really popular and hung out with the town folk and did all the things, and she didn't quite fit that mold. She was kind of shunned or like frowned upon, and she always felt like her dad didn't love her and all this stuff. So her and her sister's relationship is naturally strained. So her sister is the chief of police in the, I think it's called Rain Valley or Rainy Valley, which is ironic because it just fucking rains there all the time. And the little girl, I think she grew up in a cave. We're trying to figure out who this girl is, what is going on. I do like her writing. It's pretty matter of factly, which I like in a sense. It still flows really well and the writing makes sense to me, but it's not overly embellished and she's not using unnecessarily big words. There was one word that I had to research, but it was the name of a flower, which I didn't really get in reference to it, but I just needed to know what it was, but it was a flower. I'm going to read some more and I'll probably check in with you guys tomorrow or Monday, depending how far I get. I do have an entire video that I'd like to get edited today as well. I'll probably only read this evening again, but I just wanted to check in and let you guys know that it is mood reading. So if I'm not feeling it, I might just change and start another book. I think I'm in the mood for a thriller, especially because the weather is really cold at the moment. I'll let you guys know how I get on. Maybe when I get to 50% of this, we'll see. Hello everyone, it's been a little while since I spoke to you. I think the last I spoke to you was Saturday and today is Monday. It is like a bank holiday / public holiday in South Africa. Family just went to go get my niece because we're going to spend the day with her. So I thought I'd just do a quick check-in. I couldn't go with them because the car seat that she has takes both seat belts and I didn't want to go with my big belly and no seatbelt. Like, not that anything will happen, but I'd rather just be safe than sorry. But I thought I'd do a quick check-in. So we're reading Wild by Kristen Hanna and I did read a couple of reviews. Fortunately, not a lot of people like this and think that her writing is very different, well, in this book, from like The Nightingale and The Woman and all of that. So I think I did myself a disservice by doing this, but I just wanted to try and read something different because this storyline resonated more with me. Like, I don't like to read about the Great Depression or war or anything like that. So I know one of them is like Vietnam War, the other one is like the Nightingale, I think, is like the Second World War. Like, I don't like books like that, so I wanted to branch out a little bit. Anyway, we'll see. Maybe there's some other book that I will like, maybe The Great Alone, maybe I could try that. But this so far is, I was very intrigued, but now it's just getting boring and it's dragging. So we have this therapist, like I said, her name is Julia, and she's helping this girl who they think was kidnapped and left in the wild. You know, this, like, I don't know if it's legend or if it's really true, but the wild children who are like raised by wolves, this girl is one of them. Like, she has some vocabulary and she can talk, but not really because she's never really been taught. She's completely wild. She eats like a dog, she sniffs like a dog, she's just learned to use the toilet. So Julia's trying to help her, and Julia's gone through this big ordeal where I already said one of her patients had done a mass shooting and then killed herself or something like that, and there's like all this media stuff. So they're not taking her seriously with this case, but they're trying to figure out who the girl is and what happened to her. There's also a romance in here with the local doctor in town because it's a really small town. His name is Mac, and the two of them are kind of just, I don't know, they're dancing around each other. It's cute, but it's really frustrating as well because they're both adults and they're both in medicine. So like, come on, like, we know that feelings are important. They're dancing around each other's feelings and stuff. Like, he's been hurt in the past, she's been hurt in the past, and they kind of just like, they like each other, but they don't know what to do. She thinks he's a player, he thinks that she's too serious. I mean, the romance is kind of what I'm rooting for right now. And then obviously Alice as well. Alice has her own chapters. Well, they've named her Alice now because she liked the story Alice in Wonderland, but she has her own points of view, and it's annoying because there's parts where they like want her to sound really illiterate, but then other parts she's using words that an illiterate kid wouldn't use, and she's 6 years old. So the way it's written is like, she calls herself girl and she calls like females her. Like, she won't call Julia, she'll call her in like her mind and stuff, and she's like thinking to herself and everything. It doesn't correlate because she's 6 years old and it's been written like she's at least 16. I'm not loving it, but I kind of am curious enough to finish it. Yeah, I think I'll catch up with you guys next when I finish this book. I am now on chapter 19, page 294. I've made it quite a way through. These chapters are super long, so I'm having to read like 1, maybe 2, maximum 3 chapters at night before I go to bed because I read for an hour, and then in the morning I'm trying to read for a couple of hours too. Actually, I don't know if I should finish it or just move on to another one because this is a mood reading and I'm actually not really in the mood for this anymore. I don't know what else I would like to read. I have some other library books that I know I shouldn't read now because I don't want to read all my library books in one video. And then I also have this book that I just downloaded. If you you watched my TBR video, you'll know one of the prompts was buy a book. So I downloaded Cursed, and it is an anthology, which I didn't know what that meant. I actually had to Google it. Yeah, you learn something new every day. I was like, what the hell is an anthology? I thought it was like maybe a theme, but it's not. It is a collection of short stories. So I thought that was very interesting, and I'm curious to know what I think. So maybe I might read a couple of these and then get back to that, because I'm not actually in the mood to read that, and I really want to read more, but at the same time I don't want to burn myself out, and this is, like I said, very boring. I checked the next chapter because I was going to read it this morning, and it was something like 24 pages, and I was like, maybe not. So this might be fun just to like break it up. So this is supposed to be like a, want to say Snow White retelling, but it's like a wish is a terrible thing. And about this book, it says 20 curses, old and new, from best-selling authors such as Neil Gaiman, Christina Henry, Emma O'Carey, and it just names all of them. And it says all the better to read you with. It's a prick of blood, the bite of an apple, the evil eye, a wedding ring, or a pair of red shoes. Curses come in all shapes and sizes, and they can happen to anyone, not just those of us with unpopular step-parents. Here you'll find unique twists of curses, from fairy tale classics to brand new hexes of the modern world. Expect new monsters and mythologies, as well as twists on well-loved fables, stories to shock and stories of warning, stories of monsters and stories of magic. 20 timeless folk tales, new and old. It is all a play on fairy tales. That's exciting. Actually, that's right up my alley. I'm a Disney adult, if you didn't know. I think that's very exciting. I might read a story or two now-ish. My niece will be in, like, I want to say 1 hour, so maybe I can read a story and then let you guys know after, but we'll see. Good morning, guys. So it is the next day now. It is Tuesday. So yesterday, like I said, was a bank holiday, and I got actually a bit of reading done, even though my niece was here. She was watching Peppa Pig, so I was just reading. I finished Wild by Kristen Hanna. I was reading a load of reviews. I don't know if I said this before. Excuse me if I've repeated myself. A lot of people who have read this said that it is not a true reflection of Kristen Hanna's writing. Now, I didn't love this book. I'm going to give it a 2.75. I did like the story. Like the first 50%, I was so engaged and so intrigued, and I was locked in. I was sat, but then it just got boring, and I feel like it just dragged out so much with no resolution for ages. I stopped caring, whereas in the beginning I cared so much about the two characters, specifically Julia and Alice, and I cared about them so much, and then I just was like, I don't even care anymore, because it just went on for too long with no progress, if that makes sense, or little to no progress. So didn't love that, but the writing wasn't bad. Like I said, it was just a lot of repetition and a bit drawn out. Other than that, 2.75 isn't a terrible rating. I wouldn't recommend it for especially a younger demographic. I think like my mom's age or older would enjoy a book like this, because it's kind of just meandering. There's no actual resolution. There's a happy ending, but there's no actual resolution to what's happened. But that is my feelings on this book. So 2.75, like I said, for the third time. That is done. I'm glad I read it though. So glad. Like I said, I picked up Cursed, which is an anthology, which I learned yesterday was a collection of short stories. Can you believe that at my ripe age? But anyway, like I said, you learn something new every day. I just made it to page, sorry as well if I have a croak in my throat. I woke up quite recently and I just did my reading in bed for a bit and spoke to my husband for a bit, so I'm still a bit croaky. There's no chapters obviously, but I got to page 63, and unfortunately with this one I don't think I can read it all in one go. I think it will just be too much, so I'm going to just read a couple of stories every day. I won't be able to finish it in this video, in other words, finish this book in this. I'm just gonna keep it going for the rest of the month, see how far we get. My favorite story is the first one, which was called, let me get my notes. I actually just wrote it down because I don't know, I didn't want to make notes on my phone for some reason. I just had a pen and paper, so I made notes, but it's called As Red as Blood, as White as Snow, and this is a Snow White retelling, which was really interesting. In this story, her stepmom and her dad were still alive. Her stepmom and her had a good relationship. It wasn't that like an ugly relationship villain in the story was actually Prince Charming, who actually put a curse on her dad, kind of tricked her into marrying him, and he had like some sinister intent, which was really, really cool. So that was my favorite so far. I think I'd give it like a 3.5 out of 5. It is really short. Like I said, the use of language is very dated in my opinion, so I didn't love that, but other than that, I had a good time and it was definitely my favorite. This next one was called Troll Bridge, and this was a made-up one. It wasn't a retelling of a fairy tale. It was just like a new type of story, and I think this one was by actual Neil Gaiman, which is like the most famous author in this whole anthology. And it was about like the old folklore about trolls living under bridge, and this boy, he loves bridges and he's quite lonely and doesn't have the best home life, so he stumbles upon a bridge and runs into this troll, and the troll has to take his life for stumbling into his domain, but he bargains with this troll to come back at a later date. It just follows his life. Everything kind of redirects him back to this bridge, which was quite cool, but yeah, a little bit far-fetched, and because I guess it didn't have a foundation of an old fairy tale, it didn't resonate too much with me. Then the last one I just read this morning is called At That Age, and it follows two twins, Drew and Daisy, and they meet John at their new school. They kind of like, I wouldn't say hypnotize him, but it feels like he's hypnotized into like being friends with them. They first like make him do silly things, and then they're drinking with him. He's only 13, and they like make him martinis, and they throw this huge party, and then they try to befriend him. Next thing you know, they like stop coming to school, and John's like, what the hell? And John's been through a tragedy in his life. The one night he has a weird feeling, and he kind of sneaks in their house and realizes that something sinister is going on as well, and it goes from there. So very cool concept, I think, but not to be read all in one go. For the next read, I'm in the mood for a thriller. I really am. I'm very weary of reading all my TBR books or all my library books in one video. I don't know why. Let me know if you guys mind. These are like two books that are not well known, so I'm obviously drawn to them. So the first book we have here is Frozen Charlotte by Alex Bell. I actually read the first page last night. It seems very intriguing. Shall I read it to you? It says, the girls were playing with the Frozen Charlotte dolls again. The school mistress had given them some scraps of fabric and ribbon from the sewing room to take out to the garden. They were to practice their embroidery skills by making little dresses and bonnets for the naked porcelain dolls. They'll catch to the death of a cold, the teacher had said. But there was a little girl who wasn't playing with the others. The schoolmistress sighed when she saw her, sat alone, fiddling with her blindfold. The girl complained it was uncomfortable, but the doctor had said it was necessary to keep her wounds clean. And besides, the sight of her ruined eyes frightened the other girls. So we have a little blind girl. I don't know, that already just intrigued me enough to like think maybe I want to pick it up. But the thing that doesn't intrigue me is that the first chapter is around 20 pages. So are we prepared to lock into that? Or I want to read The Fear by C.L. Taylor. And as I said, I really love C.L. Taylor, but this one involves grooming and like a little girl. I think she's like 13 years old and she runs away with her teacher or something. I don't know. I have a few things to do today. So I think I'm going to just think on it. I need to make some breakfast now because it is time for my breakfast and little Bubba needs to eat. I'm going to do that. I'm also filming a video for my second channel. I haven't actually filmed for that channel in over a year. If you think it's about time, I just check in and give a little life update because I haven't told them I'm currently with child and I don't know what I want to do with this channel yet. Please remember to like and subscribe. And also guys, please, if you want to follow me on Fable or Goodreads, I'll put both my links up here. And then also on Instagram, I have live updates there. That is everything I'm going to say. I think I've been talking for like 10 minutes now. I need to tidy my room, have breakfast, and then I'm going to film for my second channel. And then I'll update you guys when I get 100 pages into whatever I'm reading next. And obviously another little short story. See you guys then. Good morning, everyone. Let me lower the camera. Sorry for the state of me, but I did not sleep well last night. I always think I'm lucky if I got 5 hours. I went to sleep at like 10:30, woke up at 1:30, went back to sleep at maybe 5 or 6 and got up at 8. So excuse me. Firstly for the state of me, because I am not ready for the day yet. I actually just posted my first video back on my makeup channel. I'm trying to post there again, but I'm not going to focus on like new makeup and overconsumption. Not that overconsumption is an issue, I just cannot afford to overconsume, especially with my current state. So I am going to try and actually whittle down my makeup collection, and now I think I'm going to start doing either project pans and try and work through my makeup, or just like get ready with me's, and then I might start doing like vlogs on that channel as well and try and do some first time mom content. So if you want to go subscribe, I will link the channel up in the cards over here. If you can hear my laptop popping off as well, it's just my husband sending me a load of messages because he doesn't know how to write all of it in one message. Anyway, I'm rambling. I'm told you I'm tired. Sorry if the desk is shaking as well. I was leaning my foot on there. So I updated you yesterday and I've gotten a little bit further on. I think yesterday, I'm not entirely sure how many of these stories I've actually read. I think I read 2 stories. If I remember correctly, I really can't. Maybe it was 3. I read Listener, which was a weird one. It was a made up folklore as well, where this woman was a hunter and she went out and she killed a deer, and the deer was actually this nymph or fairy's brother, and the fairy cursed her to play these pipes that would bring out the worst in people. So for the rest of eternity, she'd have to go from town to town to town and just play these bagpipes, and it would just wreak havoc. It was weird. I didn't really like that. And then the one I just read was called Henry and the Snake Wood Box, and that was also very, very strange. It was this, I wouldn't say mentally challenged, but I think he might have been mentally challenged or illiterate guy who goes to a secondhand shop and sees this box, and the box starts communicating with him, and the box is not allowed to lie. So every time he asks a question, the box needs to tell the truth, but the box wants to go home with him because the box can grant wishes. The box kind of tries to whittle his way around what he really is. We find out that he's a demon, and every time Henry makes a wish, something adverse happens to the world. So he'll wish for a puppy, and somewhere in India an earthquake would happen. So it was like, I don't know, it was, I guess, meant to be a lesson of you get what you wish for or something like that, but didn't love that either. So I don't know, I'm not enjoying all these. I think I prefer like a retelling of an original fairy tale, whereas I think the rest of this is just a little bit dark. I made it to page 95 and I am 30% through that. I'm just reading 1 or 2, like I said, a day, and that's it. I don't even want to read too much of that. I think it's also because Frozen Charlotte. So I started this yesterday and we've just reached page, of course I dropped it, 118, I want to say. Yeah, 118, chapter 7 over there. I'm really liking it. It's creepy. Oh my gosh. I looked up the genre. I thought it was a thriller, but it's actually like a young adult horror. It's absolutely sucked me in. I read 118 pages yesterday. That's not like me. And I just told my husband as well, I need to go for a walk, but I actually just want to sit and read this book because it's captivating. I want to know what's happened. Okay, so we have our main female character, Sophie, who with her friend, I think she lives like London side. She goes on this night out with her school friend, one of her best friends, Jay, and he downloads this app that has a Ouija board in it. She doesn't believe in it, and he's just like, come on, just entertain me. So they end up playing this Ouija board game, and then they're like, who shall we contact? And she's like, Rebecca something. I can't remember what her surname was. Rebecca something. And he's like, oh, who's that? A famous serial killer? And she's like, no, it's my cousin. She died about 7 years ago. They end up doing this Ouija board, and eventually they make contact with a spirit. First, they're like, oh, it's a glitch with the system. It's a glitch with the app. Then things start happening. Like the light on the phone starts flickering and then turns out, and then all the lights in the restaurant or the cafe that they're in turns off. Someone starts screaming. She sees someone out of the corner of her eye standing on a table, just like glancing at everyone. When the lights come back on, one of the workers has been burned, like her whole left side of her body has been burned. They're like kind of freaked out, and then they ask the Ouija board as well, when am I going to die? I think one of them asked. Her best friend Jace ends up passing away. This is like the first chapter. She's obviously sad and she's trying to think how this Ouija board could have connected with whatever happened, and it's really cool the way it's written. It's written so easily and so simply that it's not like overwritten, and it just gets down to the point, which is something I'm beginning to love. So her parents have this long holiday booked away, 2-week long holiday booked overseas, and they want to cancel this because they want to console their daughter. Obviously it's over some summer break, so they decide to send her to her uncle's house in the Isle of Skye, which is this old converted boarding school for girls, and weird stuff starts happening. And this Rebecca girl is this family's daughter who passed away in very mysterious circumstances, and Rebecca was also really sadistic, maybe a little bit of a psychopath when you start hearing and unfolding all the stories about Rebecca. I think Rebecca is haunting the house as well as some of the girls from the old schoolhouse. And then there's Frozen Charlotte, who is a doll, and there's this whole story about Frozen Charlotte. It's like a cautionary tale about a girl who went to a ball with her boyfriend, but she didn't want to wear a coat that night, even though they were going on an open carriage, because she wanted everybody to see how beautiful she was, and she ended up freezing to death before they even got to the ball. So that's like what it's all built up on. Very interesting, very fun. I'm having such a good time, and it's gory. Things have already started happening. She's just got there. She's been there for about, I want to say 2 or 3 days, and things start happening. They have this parrot who just says weird things and starts singing the Charlotte ballad or whatever it is, and it's creepy. It's so creepy, but it's so easy to read. I don't know why I've been putting this off. This has been on my TBR probably since last year. I'm having a good time. It feels like a really high 4-star if it keeps going the way it's going. I'm chatting way too much. Let me get some things done. I don't know if I will go for a walk. I don't even know if I will get out in my pajamas today. It is just one of those days, and I'm just going to let myself feel it, because during this pregnancy I've just been like up, down. I'm trying to do everything I can before this baby comes, and I think I just need to rest if I want to rest. That's what we're going to do. I'm going to edit for a little bit, whistle down my list for the day as well, and we'll see. Maybe I'll go for a walk after lunch. That could be an option as well, but that is how I feel so far. I guess I'll check in with you guys when I get around 60 to 70% and see if it's gotten better or worse, or if anything has happened. I'll let you guys know. But this is such a fun one so far. I can recommend. It's just sucked me in from the very first chapter. Hi everybody. So I am firstly really sorry about the lighting. It is quite late on in the day and I didn't get my ring light out. I know I'm being lazy, but anyway, I just wanted to come to you guys and let you know that I actually finished Frozen Charlotte this morning. I was going to check in at 70%, but I couldn't stop reading it. I just needed to know what's going to happen, and I ended up giving this a 4.5. I absolutely loved it. I actually really liked that it was a young adult horror because it was gory, but it wasn't like over the top, and it was creepy in all the right places. The writing was amazing. It was so easy to follow, and I'd 100% recommend if you want to get into the horror genre. I love anything paranormal. If you didn't know, now you know. The paranormal elements in this was amazing. The flashbacks that they had was great. Absolutely would 100% recommend. 4.5 star. Probably the best read I've had in this whole video. As for Cursed, I'm going to put a picture up, but I'm holding it up because we're talking about it. I think that I need some more time with this. I didn't read any more than what I told you guys I'd read. I just wasn't in the mood for it, and I just wanted to finish Frozen Charlotte. Wild by Kristen Hanna, like I said, it's going to be a 2.75 for me. Unfortunately, it just wasn't for me, and I found it a little bit boring. But today is actually Thursday, and I was going to carry this video on tomorrow, but I've already finished 2 books. I think that's okay. Well, we started a third, I guess, and I feel like it's no point in me carrying on this today and tomorrow because it's a bit pointless. It's redundant. So let's just finish this video off here. If you did make it all the way to this part of the video, please give me a blue heart emoji if you can. That would be much appreciated. Please remember to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you all in my next one. Thank you so much for watching.